Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason and today it's First Impressions Day. That's a kit review, an inbox review. Other people call it all sorts of things. I call it First Impressions because that's what it is. It's my very first impression of this kit, which came out the very back end of 2024 from Tacoma. It's the M29 Weasel Arctic or Antarctic Expedition Vehicle. Let's take a look. So yes, we're going to take a look at the M29 Weasel. This is a release that was tooled in 2023, but they've added new parts, mainly this top piece here, to get the Antarctic version. So the base kit was released in 2023, then I think it was re-released in a different version the same year, or at the back end of 2023, maybe early 2024, and this is the third iteration. So it is effectively new tooled parts on top of 2-year-old parts, and what we can see as we look at the box, we get this lovely artwork, depicts the vehicle, and a little bit of snowy scenery, I guess. On this side of the box we get our sprues, and we can see we've got decals, we've got a line, I guess that means thread of some type, photo etch. The ends pretty much replicate what we've got on the side, but does tell us the kit number is 2193, and then on this side we've got well, an image of the, like a CAD drawing of the actual model. So basically white with black wheels and whatever colour the tracks are. And that's it. It's a typical Tacoma kit in as much as you've got a single corrugated bottom in an ill-fitting flimsy lid, which is always quite loose. So let's have a look at the instructions. So our instructions are the sort of recognisable normal Tacom format. We've got a bespoke, possibly A5 I guess, build manual which is stapled and is printed in colour, and not that they use much colour. On the front we've got a technical drawing and a bit of history. Then we've got our caution and various bits of instructions. Then we've got our sprue map, which tells us we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sprues, a clear sprue, some line, a bathtub base, photo etch and a sheet of decals. Then when we turn over and we're on step 1, we're building up all the bits and pieces for the suspension, for the wheels to be mounted on. So some of this is moulded in, and then we're building up details on there. In 1/35 scale this is going to be quite tiny. This is quite a good candidate for a 1/16 vehicle, to be honest. So we're making some sub-assemblies and then applying them. Then we're building up the bogies and drive and idler wheels, and installing those. Instructions are nice and clear, line drawings are well laid out, lots of space. What there isn't is any paint instructions. Then step 3, we're building up the link and length tracks, which I personally prefer. They're quick and look authentic, so yeah, that my preference. Not everyone would agree with me, however. And they're quite thick tracks, as you'd expect for working in snowy conditions. Then we're building up, I'm not quite sure what that is. I think that is that the underside of the mud guards, maybe, not sure. We've got a radiator being built up. We've got the dashboard, so it looks like we're making some sub-assemblies at this point. Yeah, some form of frame, and then we're putting those all together on that. So that's actually the floor pan, not the underside. Okay, that makes sense now. Shoving that together, and then all right, okay. We've got 4 seats in total, so a row of 3, and then the driver separately in the front. And we're building up some control levers and what have you. It looks like there's some photo etch in there. Wherever we see TP, we've got some photo etch involved. And then step 10, we're adding that on top of the lower hull. So really you need to have painted all of that. Need to think about how we're going to paint that. No colours for the interior parts. Then we're building up what I guess is side sections. We've got some suitcases. I guess they've got scientific equipment in or something. Putting them on a little shelf and installing those. We've got some decals being put in. Right, okay. And then we've got things like tools, the exhaust with a photo etch cover. Right, all being installed at the back end there. Yeah, towing hook. So it doesn't look like we've got an engine, even though we've got interior detail. So putting the back end on, building up the front end there, and then we've got quite a detailed windscreen there with photo etch wipers and some other photo etch components on the other side. Separate handles, separate adjustable windscreen. Got little decals going on, so that'll be quite a detailed little thing when it's built up. Then we've got the bonnet, for want of another term, and that's got some form of capstan on it, I guess. Don't know what that's for. Lamps, horn, various bits and pieces going on there. Then we've got window being built up, and we're putting that corner on. Then we've got a door and a window going on that side. Okay, a lot of this I don't know what it is. It looks like some form of scientific equipment and stuff. So we've got, but it's got a hose, so it's feeding into there. Don't know what that is. So maybe it's an air filter of some type. Don't know. More side sections going in. It's built up of lots of little parts, the side details. Then we're building up the roof. Another lamp going on the roof. Roof rack being put together, and then that's installed. So 23 steps in total. There's no stowage. It would be nice maybe to have had some stowage on there. And then, well, this is our painting guide, believe it or not. So these 2 pictures showing the model completed and painted on the outside. It's really just showing you the decal positions, and it's you've got a US Army version or a US Navy version, just different decals. No paint instructions whatsoever, external or internal. So yet again, another really lazy offering from Tacoma. But that's our instructions done. Let's have a look at what else we get in the box. So in the bag with our instructions, we've got photo etch, decals, clear parts, and this thread. So I'm just gonna take them out. Let's have a look. at the decals first. So a very small sheet of decals. There's not much in the way of decals. Most of them are little placards for inside the vehicle. Let's get that out of the bag. So little Ziploc bag within another bag. Okay, quite chunky these decals. So printing's not brilliant. You're losing all the white text on the black background. Same with the dials, not particularly sharp. Quite a lot of decal margin and quite thick and chunky. So as decals go, not brilliant. Yeah, I can't say they're okay because they're not really. I mean, the main stuff that goes on the outside is usable, but the internal stuff's fairly poorly done, to be honest. So what I thought was thread turns out to be some form of black alloy wire that's quite bendable, holds its shape, so I'm not quite sure what we were using that for. I didn't particularly spot it on the instructions, but yeah, there you go, that's that. Photo etch, as always with Tacom, is nicely done. You've got some nice relief etching. There doesn't look as much as there seemed to feel like there was in the instructions, but the round hoops at the top are for the wheels. This mesh is for over the exhaust. We've got some straps and the windscreen wipers, various other little bits that we're going to use, like in for where the gear changes and that sort of stuff. And these are the smallest little bits which we saw being used in the interior as well. So yeah, photo etch, nothing wrong with it, nicely done. We start our parts off looking at the clear parts. These are all straight. We can see some elements of them need to be painted, but pretty much all the glazing is flat with the exception of the lenses for the various lamps, so we shouldn't have any distortion, and I'm pleased to say we haven't really. Yeah, it's all good, and especially once put in your model, you're not going to have any issues with that. Very nice and clear. I don't see any inclusions. Yeah, everything good with the clear parts. What we'll do is we'll take some pictures of the parts as we go, and then you can see some detail shots at the end before we sum up. Sprue G to start with, and we've got some of the major body parts here, and as always with Tacom, the moulding is beautiful and crisp and very, very detailed. We've got lots of fastener detail on here. All looks lovely. We've got the hatch on the front is closed, which is a little bit of a shame. Side skirts there, and this will be the front nose piece. No issues with the moulding, as always. Very nicely done. Yeah, I don't see any particular issues with any of this. All lovely. Sprue C, more major parts now, but they're not very large. This isn't going to be a big vehicle at all. We can see the controls there for the driver, which were all offset. So I bet the drivers often had issues with their shoulders constantly looking to their side whilst driving forward. Again, nothing wrong with any of the moulding. Some lovely detail. You can see plenty of detail on the dash there. If only knew what colours to paint it. And then on the other side, there is some detail in places. Yeah, I mean, it's all lovely. Yeah, no issues with any of this. Sprue E, and we've got some exterior parts and some interior parts. The largest parts being the seats here, which are all nicely done. There's lots of texture detail on there, and they're all different as well. They're not sort of repeating each other, although I say that I'm not sure those two actually might be repeating. 55 and 57 look very similar. But you could put those 3 in a row and then put that other repeat one in the front, and then you wouldn't notice so much. The radiator, nicely done, nice mesh on the front, fire extinguisher, various tools which are also nicely done. And then we've got some slide moulding going on. We've got lamps and the horn and bits and pieces. No bulbs in the lamps. Ends of boxes and cases and stuff. So all very nicely done. Not much in the way of clean up. No real visible seam, although there will obviously be some. No sink, no flash. Just really nice detailed moulding. Sprue H, and we've got more tools or repeats of tools. We've got an aerial, I'm not sure that we used that, and various other small little components. More slide moulding, another lamp, again without a bulb. These look sort of like generic parts which we may or may not use, little locking latches and things like that. All nicely done though. Sprue J, I assume this sprue is specifically for the Antarctic version. We've got the side panels and the roof here. I mean, the first thing that strikes you is all the ejector pins in the roof. Many of us will want to remove those. They're all depressed, so you can fill those, which will be a little bit of a job, which is a shame, but it's, you know, it's a big piece. I guess it was their only way. Then we've got a frame that I think glues inside of there to give you a ribbed structure. Got all the side pieces there. We've got the roof racks, and then various handles. Looks like things like rear reflectors and that sort of stuff. Yeah. Lots of nice detail. Sprue gates aren't too thick. Nice organisation of the sprue, so you've got plenty of space between the parts. Easy to see everything. Yeah, I like it. Sprue A, we have 2 of these, and as you can see, it's tracks and wheels. The tracks are very nicely done. Yeah, they are really lovely and should fit together really nicely. The wheels, lots of detail. We've got on these little wheels here, we've even got sidewall writing on the tyres, so that's really nice. We've got a little bit of slide moulding there on that part. This has got a lot of tiny parts on it actually, so the road wheels will build up to be quite delicate. The heaviest seam we've seen on the whole kit is on the leaf spring suspension, and there isn't much of it. So generally your cleanup is very light on this kit. Lovely, lovely moulding. Not sure if we'll see those ejector pins or not. Yeah, no issues with that. Really nicely done. And finally, we've got the lower hull bathtub, which gives you a real indication of how tiny this vehicle is. But just because it's small doesn't mean we've not got nice detailed moulding. This is really, really crisp, really well done. A little bit of clean up there, and that is it. I don't even see any moulding seam. I'm guessing this was 3D slide moulded, but there's no witness of it. Very, very nicely done. So there we have it, the M29 Weasel Arctic or Antarctic Expedition Vehicle in 1:35 scale from Tacoma. What's my first impression? Well, okay, let's start with packaging. Packaging is the usual affair from Tacoma. The box is designed to fit the sprues, so you don't get much in the way of rattle. It was absolutely rammed up to the rafters. So packaging's okay. It could be better. The box is a bit flimsy. So I can't say it's great, but at the same time I can't say it's poor. So it's just a good average. The instructions, well, the build instructions are nice and clear. The steps make sense. There's no sort of building sub-assemblies that you then don't use for ages. You have got some sub-assemblies, but then you use them pretty much straight away. The Tacoma instructions are usually pretty good, pretty clear, easy to understand and get you from A to Z okay. Obviously, I can't not comment on the fact that they haven't bothered with any paint instructions. It's a big disappointment. It's always a letdown when Tacoma do this. Not all Tacoma kits don't have paint instructions, but most of the ones I've reviewed in recent years have. They used to tie up with MIG paints and you'd get colour schemes. I've got a King Tiger tank that's got all sorts of paint instructions for the interior and stuff with it. So they can do it, they just can't be bothered to do it a lot of the time. So I always have to think to myself, do I really want to buy this kit? Because I know when I buy Tacoma, I'm only buying part of it and the rest of it I'm going to have to do myself. Having said that, the instructions that we have got are perfectly usable. Decals, I've seen better decals even from Tacoma in fairness. Increasingly I'm finding that because some brands are using really the best decals they can, other brands are starting to look like they're sort of behind the eight ball on decals and starting to let their kits down a little bit. You focus on decals when everyone's moulding standards have risen up, then it's the other bits that are getting left behind, and in this case I wasn't impressed with the decals. Photo etch, no issues with that. Some nice relief etching, not too much of it, some very tiny fiddly parts, but I always see etch as a bit of an option usually when you're buying it as aftermarket. When it's integral part of the kit, then you've got to accept you need to put those parts on, and some of those parts were a bit fiddly. But the same could be said about the plastic parts as well. The plastic parts are beautiful. The moulding is great, it's crisp, it's tight. There is no moulding issues, no sink, no short circuit, no flash, virtually no seam. It's the highlight of any Tacoma kit, their ability to do really nice moulding. But again, this is a tiny little model and a lot of these parts are really small and fiddly. So this isn't for a first time builder. You need to have built a few to tackle that with confidence because the parts are so tiny. And you need to have got some skills around cleaning up small parts and fitting small parts and some of the disciplines involved in that. But yeah, the plastic parts are gorgeous and a highlight of the kit. So all in all, a very, very nice kit. If we ignore for a moment the lack of paint instructions, which does detract, the rest of the kit is stunningly nice. I mean, really, really good. What you'll get is something that looks genuinely very authentic, and a very nice model, and you've got some opportunities for weathering, fairly light weathering on here. You're not going to have dust and muck and dirt, but what you are going to get is some wet driven streaking grime and some rust traces and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful model. If only they would bother to put the paint instructions, because I've got no idea what any of that looks like on the inside. So I've now got to go and do a load of research to find out what to paint it, which is annoying because they've sold you a kit that's not complete. I can't build this straight from the box. I've got to go somewhere else. And for me, a model kit should provide you with everything you need to build it straight from the box. If you want to then go and enhance it with aftermarket, that's a different thing. But what you get in the box, you should be able to build it, paint it, and finish it from everything that they've given you in the box. And you can't do that with this or many other Tacom kits. So, you know, it's not a 10 out of 10, it's not a 9 out of 10, it's probably a 7.5. And all of that lost marks is down to the fact that they didn't provide the paint instructions, because everything else in here is exquisite. So there you go, the disappointingly beautiful Weasel from Tacom. I hope that was interesting, enjoyable, useful. And until the next time I see you, you enjoy your modelling, and bye for now.